Welcome to yet another Pneuma of Now podcast with your host, me, Richard Blankenship. I self-identify as a trisapial being. You can't check that box at the doctor's office. I am the triple guru of Kansas, and here's that gentle reminder, we're not in Kansas anymore. Now, as the immortal Dorothy once proclaimed, that phrase resonates in today's ever-shifting world. It's as if the tornado of change has swept us up and flung us into the great unknown, where climate change wreaks havoc like a band of mischievous flying monkeys, and technological advancements propel us forward at breakneck speed like a runaway, horse-drawn carriage. The emerald city of the future shimmers on the horizon, yet remains tantalizingly out of reach, obscured by the fog of political uncertainty and social discord. And so we find ourselves skipping along the yellow brick road of progress, hand in hand with our trusted companions, artificial intelligence, renewable energy, and space exploration, wondering if we'll ever find our way home to a stable, sustainable planet. Alas, dear listener, the land of Oz is no longer a far-off fantasy. It is our ever-evolving reality. And indeed, we're not in Kansas anymore. So we just want to welcome you to the show. We're recording this episode on March 14th, 2023. And before we really get started, we do have a little bit of housekeeping. I'd like to really just take a moment of silence and contemplation for our fallen brethren. I just want to take a moment on this day to acknowledge and honor our 19-year-old angel, who we will be celebrating today in our musical section of today's podcast. So I just want to thank you, Jackson, for being my first mentor in the heavenly realms. I feel your presence in my life, and I thank you for watching over my green heart as you have all these years. I await our heavenly embrace with great anticipation. So yeah, I just want to remind everybody the music that we play on this podcast is intended to be transformative in some way. Today's special song is called Jack's Song, and it was a tribute to, like I said, today he would have been 19 years old. So we are celebrating his life, we are grieving his loss, and we are just really faithfully awaiting our reunion at some point in the future. So if there is anybody special in your life that you have lost and that has passed away into the astral dimensions, the heavenly realms, today's song is really going to be one for you to even come back to, because it really does encapsulate a part of our soul and a part of our emotion and the trauma that you go through when something like that happens. So today's song choice is really dedicated to Jackson and his memory. So thank you, Jackson. You know I love you. You're all over my house. Every single corner of this house has a piece of you in it. So thank you for just joining me on my continued journey in the Earth realm. And then some other things this week. I just want to mention that I did record the 5th and final volume of The Astral World, its scenes, dwellers, and phenomena. I'm actually getting quite a great response from that series. It is my first audio book from start to finish. Now, what I also want to mention today is I have decided on the next reading. It's right here. I need to go ahead and get the title for you. Just a second. I was not prepared with the book because I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing the author's name, but we're going to give it a best shot. Remember, on this channel, we are going to read some difficult books. That's my choice, and that's on purpose. because I am training my larynx, my vocal cords, my lips, and my tongue to speak on the fly any thought that comes to mind, okay? So, reading out loud has definitely been one of my life challenges. I'm pretty surprised, actually, looking back on my life, that at 42 years of age, I'm actually reading out loud on YouTube. This was a fear of mine that I had to overcome. So, the luminal mind is going to demonstrate for you and the listening audience what is capable. You can change your life. You can move into new dimensions. You can have a growth and expansive mindset. Anything is truly possible. We must erase the limitations of our mind. We must remove the faulty programming. We must feel worthy now. So, the next reading and the next topic that I'm going to bring into the podcast. Now, this is going to be a very, very prominent theme as we continue this series, this first year of podcasts. We really are going to touch on the breath, okay? So, this next reading is called The Science of Breath by, here we go, Yogi Ramacharaka. Ramacharaka. That's how I'm going to say it. I've never heard anybody pronounce the name. This is a book that was published in 1904, and I have only read about 11 pages of this book, and I'm very excited to bring it to you. So that will be Sunday. We will be starting that series. So that's kind of the housekeeping that I had in mind for today's episode. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes for today's preparatory proceedings here. I also just want to mention that today's lesson plan is going to be after the song. So today's lesson plan is Manifestation Raft. I will explain that in great detail. And there's just going to be a cool way that we're going to circle this around back to the breath. So we're going to start with this podcast before we do the reading. And that reading is going to be multiple volumes, just like the last book. So I also had a little idea here. So every week, I'm going to have a little highlight reel of ancient wisdom that has come to me over my desk, over my screen, through various friends sharing their amazing insights, right? So as I come across this content, I'll clip it, I'll save it. I might get a nice quote here and there. But today, I just want to go ahead and start this little tradition, the weekly update on ancient wisdom that I've received, this idea of feeling worthy now. Okay, I have touched upon this concept of your infinite worth. And if we can remove the faulty programming, if we can identify the areas in our life where we feel unworthy, even shining the light of awareness on that condition is oftentimes around 85% enough to give you an observational distance and glimpse at the issue. Okay, so we are going to self-assess on this channel. The Luminal Mind is amazing at self-assessing and looking at their lives from a distance, broadening this perspective, taking a deep breath before we consciously respond. What we want to avoid, the luminal mind avoids an emotional reaction. They take the pause. There's power in the pause, and we're going to consciously respond. Versus, we are not going to emotionally react. So those are the paradigm, the contrast of thought. So that's the first little highlight of ancient wisdom this week. And there is one more. This comes from my Discovery Academy discussions with Trine. We are going to expound on this concept as well. So again, in this little preparatory process, we're seeding the ideas so that we can discuss them further at a later date. Again, a lot of what we do here is redundant on purpose. We're going to review the compounding alchemies, remember? We're going to review the idea that every thought that we have is either an investment or an expense. If you can understand that polarity, you're going to find the middle way. You're going to find the balance point of awareness where you find power, personal power to increase your potential in this world. So the last thing I want to say is we use joy as compass. So our compass in life is our joy. So the luminal mind understands that love and light are ever expanding. Any indication otherwise is a veiled disguising. Okay, so with that, I do want to introduce this music. This is a special song for you today. My heart is open. My heart is a feeling center of remembrance. And I mean, I don't even have the words. So without further ado, here's the song by the Quentin Cash Band, Jack's Song.
In the morning, when the sun rises, I think of you. I think of you. Like yellow roses, and it comes by the dozens when I think of you. I think of you. When anyone says your name, I think of you. Although it's never quite the same, when I think of you. When anyone says your name, I think of you. Although it's never quite
All right, well, we're back in the studio here. Want to acknowledge the Luminal Mind mascot, Rockwell, the Luminal Mind mascot. He's asking for attention. He knows I'm working. He knows I'm in the studio on a dark and stormy night. So let's get this little guy over here so he feels like he's a part of the action, which he is, because he is just a ball of love, a ball of fur. He needs a haircut. He needs a shower. He needs a little bit of grooming. So we've got a big day planned tomorrow. So enough of that. Really hope you enjoyed that song. It really kind of has been an emotional evening, just kind of reflection about that really, really special boy. But what we're going to talk about tonight is this idea on how we can go about, it's a concept that I have about going about building your own personal manifestation raft. And now when I say raft, what I'm saying is it's going to be like a formula. So if there's anybody in the listening audience who likes to write things down, I do recommend having a piece of paper and pen close by when you listen to my podcasts. I mean, if you're that type of person, I know I am. So I always have a pen, a blue pen, and a paper at all times. So basically, it's a really simple lesson, but I also think it's actually really powerful. And again, it's going to be something we pull back into the fold of our compounding alchemies. We're going to bring in the idea of this sapiedelic studies, or this new discipline where we're, conceiving of new ideas. We're trying to percolate your mind with new thoughts just so that you can roll around with them and see what you come up with. A lot of what I do is really saturating my mind with new information and new perspectives, new authors, new landscapes. And I'll do that for a time, and then I'll get kind of full of information. And then I'll go into a phase of deep contemplation, and then I'll take notes, and then I'll review the notes, and I'll do all kinds of interesting things in order to make my studies, the time that I study and research, valuable. So a lot of times I've got page after page after page. Like, I'm pretty amazed. We are 6 weeks in. I believe this is the 6th episode. So I'm actually pretty amazed at the notes that I'm holding in my hand, because this is a stack of papers that I haven't even gotten to all the topics. So, I mean, I'm trying to keep these episodes at least 30 minutes. But really, some of these episodes here are going to be longer episodes. Once I get these notes more organized, I get more fluid with my delivery here. So just to get into the lesson plan, this little equation we're going to use is going to be RAFT. So that's going to be raft. And this equation is results equals actions, feelings, and thoughts. Okay, so this is just a 4-part acronym, and it's a manifestation formula. And if you just put this, like, write it on a sticky note and put it on your refrigerator, put it on the mirror in your bathroom, put it next to your bed, put it next to your favorite book, maybe use it as your bookmark. Okay, I'm a huge fan of bookmarks. That's my dog shaking his hair. So I'm a huge fan of bookmarks. I don't really dog-ear my pages. I have too much respect for my books. I've only recently started even writing with a pencil, underlining passages in books. I used to just always bookmark. It's pretty crazy. I've got thousands of bookmarks. It's unbelievable. So we want to just remember and remind ourselves every day that if we want results, if we want to move towards a goal, we need to be really having our actions, our thoughts, and our feelings all in alignment. Our actions, our feelings, and our thoughts, just so that we follow the formula, the pattern. So the feeling part, so the most valuable feeling that you can actually start with is going to be gratitude. You've heard this a million times, and it is the reason you keep hearing it is because it is so true. People who practice this exercise, they really do kind of manifest a miracle scenario. And I'm just going to call it a miracle because the turnaround in perspective by really using gratitude as your fulcrum, it really is just a powerful practice. So really, before you even put your feet on the ground in the morning, I'm always trying to get into my gratitude. I'll do a systems check in the morning, like just to wake up, make sure my electricity's on, make sure the internet is on, because I do work from home. Those internet's got to be working for me to make money. So I always get excited and grateful just to really, I wake up and my dog is wagging his tail and he's ready to go outside, and I've got coffee ready to go, and I've got, plans for the day. I'm grateful for the fact that I actually have plans for the day. So the feeling part of my of this idea, this lesson today for me is going to be gratitude on most days. But on other days, I'm going to shift it to worthiness, the idea of worth. So we're going to come right back to the ancient wisdom of feeling worthy now. You hear this phrase of act as if, feel as if. Those are all really great concepts to just put in the mind as a seed and let that plant grow. Okay, so we're going to use a triple formula here, and we're going to always reference the seed, the soil, and the plant. Okay, now this is a teaching of Ernest Holmes, and I really am going to have a great lesson plan for you on this topic. But the seed in this case is the thoughts and the feelings, okay? The soil part is the nutrition. It's the outside environment that allows the seed to thrive. And then you actually have the physical body, the physical manifestation of the plant, or the harvest. So as you practice these manifestation principles, as you build your own personal manifestation raft, you want to be really in alignment, very clear and precise about what your goals are, what kind of results you're looking for. But if you want results, you want to have your actions, your feelings, and your thoughts in alignment. Okay, so our thoughts can be multitude, many dimensions. Now, I can give you any number of thoughts, but the thoughts that get me inspired and turned on, they might be different than yours. So here's where you use your own compass, your own joy, passions, loves, anything that's really going to get you excited, things you think about often. Take stock of the topics and the types of conversations that you're having with yourself. What are the things you're thinking about most? So James Allen wrote a book. Oh my gosh, I'm just blanking. But the whole premise of the book is man becomes what he thinks about most. And I just did have a brain fart on the title of that book just now. I think it's James Allen. And so, yeah, really good New Thought authors coming into the podcast. So that's really the lesson plan. So I just want to encourage you all to get into this idea. It's a simple idea. We're going to feel grateful. We're going to feel worthy. Okay? And you can implant, you can replace or, use any feeling that you're really trying to manifest here. And then you use your thoughts. You want to make sure you're very crystal clear. Okay? And remember, every thought is an investment or an expense. So as we self-assess our dialogue, our self-talk to ourselves, we will begin to pick apart which patterns of thought are really truly investments in our thinking patterns or an expense. Okay? I think this is a really powerful principle. It's actually part of a prosperity principle class that I took, but this was really the main takeaway at that time for me. The ancient wisdom that hit home for me was it's like you do have the power of choice. We are always in choice, and this power to decide. Once we understand that and begin to use that in our lives, it really does make all the difference. And so every thought is an investment or an expense. We're going to use our feelings as a guide, joy as our compass. And here, we're going to go full circle. The action that I'm going to really challenge and encourage people to use here, the action is getting into the breath. So here we are. I mentioned the breath earlier. We're going to be reading The Science of Breath by Yogi Ramacharaka. And I'm actually really looking forward to that because what I've read of that book so far, there's already one of my favorite quotes of all time in this book. So I'm really excited to give you some information published in 2004. But really, I think that kind of wraps up today's episode. Now, we're not quite finished because I am going to leave you with a thought or a few thoughts as just a launching point for your equation. Results equals actions, feelings, and thoughts. So the thought that I'm going to leave you on this episode here is health is not a condition of matter, but of mind. Okay, so we're going to equate this idea with just this God divine, one mind, supreme creator, that all is mind. And that with the right mental attitude adjustments, the right perspectives, and the right spiritual work, okay, a lot of these things that we talk about cannot be weighed, measured, or counted. Okay, you can't weigh, measure, or count love. Okay, it's too subtle of a thing. There's certain experiences and understandings and essences that just are not in a measurable, quantifiable container for you. And so that's what we're going to do on this channel, is really point out the power of your mind. And we really are going to say that all is mind, all is unified. And health is definitely, a very complex web of factors, really driven by what we hear over the media. The fear that we're dealing with is the fear of disease in the mind is almost enough. The placebo effect of that fear is enough to manifest dis-ease in the body. And then with this cumulative work, this breathing, this practice to release the energy in the body, to get the energy moving, to charge the right and the left currents, the positive and the negatives, there's a lot of biology and science that we are going to talk about. I'm going to let this yogi here from 2004 start that discussion before I upgrade the discussion to modern language and modern research and modern authors like James Nestor. We're going to do a book review on his book, Breath. Okay, so if you haven't read Breath by James Nestor, I highly recommend it. So if there's a product placement today, I make no money from the sale of this book. It's an amazing read. I need to read it again and again. But there's about 15 really great breathing modalities in here. We're going to review those. But we're going to start that reading on Sunday. And just the thought that I'm leaving you with today is just this idea that health is not a condition of matter, but of mind. Okay, people like Mary Baker Eddy are going to talk about this kind of thing, and the notes that I have here is basically that this idea demands something of each of us. It demands that we look deeper to see how this whole question of health can be upgraded, how it needs to be upgraded, how you and I, all of us, society today, really needs a makeover in this entire view of health, healthcare, and healing. One that's not just more hopeful for a human standpoint, but one that goes deep, very deep, into looking at health from a spiritual perspective. Okay, so if faith is the substance of things hoped for, I've also heard it called evidence of things not seen. Okay? So these are the thoughts I just want to leave you on this 6th episode of the Pneuma of Now podcast. This one is dedicated to Jackson. I love you, and thank you for spending so much time with me. I love each and every one of the audience that's listening. It's really been kind of a vulnerable episode, but I'm going to have a hard time topping this one. But let me tell you, I have page after page after page of notes. So at this point, this podcast is running faster in my mind than I'm able to produce the content. So that's actually really great news. I'm happy to hear it. Thanks for all the new subscribers. Please feel free to comment in the comment section, get involved in a new mindset. You know, sometimes just changing one or two little things, sometimes a small adjustment can make a big difference. You're going to hear me say things like small wins lead to big gains. Okay, so that's the last little ancient wisdom we're going to release tonight. Thank you all for being here. We're going to leave you with one thought and one thought alone. Deep peace in the Pneuma of now.